Everybody, Earl at thelogbook.com, back for another round of Infinite Sheep, and this is one that will cause me intense personal embarrassment. But you know, it's something I went through willingly for the betterment of the lives of small furry animals. And that means, of course, that we have to have a conversation about that mythical, legendary, pith-helmeted adventurer, explorer Earl. Let's rewind a bit. When I started working part-time at KPBI, which was the Fort Smith, Arkansas Fox affiliate, the spring of '93, I had a kind of a semi-full-time job at a local radio station, but I was really wanting to get into the visual realm of it because I felt like a bit like I was treading water doing radio, especially satellite radio where you were not the voice on the air. I was not getting any experience in spinning my own songs for the most part. It was, you know, you read the weather forecast at 25 after and 8 till. Not much of a future in that. So I was looking to get into TV, and having failed to break into kind of my preferred, my first option that I was really trying to get into was I was hoping I could get in at Channel 40 at KHBS, the local ABC affiliate, where I had interned in junior high school. I had done like some election night newsroom stuff, running wire copy and so on, and I was kind of hoping, oh hey, I've worked with you guys before. Surely that means you're interested now that I'm actually looking for gainful employment in TV. No, they weren't. As KPBI, the very low-power Fox affiliate, the thing about KPBI was it was kind of the last choice because it was the last rated station, and I could barely even pick it up at home with an antenna because it wasn't on cable yet. But I dutifully sent them a resume and got a call back from their operations person basically saying, "You want to work here?" That should have been the first warning sign right there. But I remember the first night, everything seemed like it was going really well. They had a lady there who normally worked the Saturday night shift training me, and the shift ran from, if I remember correctly, it was like 5 p.m. to sign off. And around 8 o'clock, the radio experience helped because I could understand a flex clock. I could understand a broadcast schedule and a format. Around 8 o'clock, we were in Fox programming. We were in America's Most Wanted or something on Saturday night. And she said to me, "It looks like you've got this. I have a date now, and I'm not going to be back. Good luck." And she left. As in, she wasn't working at the station anymore. She found her replacement. I hadn't screwed anything up yet. She's out. That really probably should have been warning sign number 2. Warning sign number 3 at this station was that if anyone quit, they were not replaced. Everyone else just had to spread out very thinly to cover them. And so you would wind up with new duties being tacked on to what you were already doing, which was probably a full plate. You were doing these things for no extra pay, and you know, it was almost like this thing that you hear now, especially if you're a graphic designer or a voice artist or an actor or anything. Oh, this will be great exposure. Well, you know, in certain parts of the country, it gets cold enough, you can step outside and die of exposure. That's not a good compensation package. Thank you very much. When I started at the Fox station, we had a vivacious young blonde as our Fox Kids Club host, who she would do little legal ID intro spots in between shows that were all canned. They were all on tape. And she also did things with the local Humane Society where it was like, hey kids, look at this cute animal. Don't you want to adopt this cute animal? Come down to the Humane Society and adopt this cute animal. And that was really kind of the most screen time that she got. She decided to leave. A couple of weeks later, a syndication marketing package arrived for some National Geographic specials, which these always arrived with feelies and little prizes and presents to try to entice you into thinking, oh, hey, you know the production value on this is going to be great. Look, we've got enough money to throw around to send you worthless junk that is somehow themed to our show. And with this National Geographic syndication package arrived a pith helmet. And I was manning the control board one afternoon, and a member of the station management walked into the control room with this pith helmet, placed it on my head, pointed a finger at me, and said, Explorer Earl, pet detective. You're the new Kids Club host. I didn't really get a vote. And the result looked something a little bit like this.
Hey kids, it's Explorer Earl in this week's Pet of the Week.
Hi, I'm Explorer Earl, Pet Detective, back with the Fox 4615 Pet of the Week. We have Laura here from the Humane Society, and who have we here?
This is Edna, a lab and cocker mix, approximately about 7 pounds, a white and tan color, and if someone's interested in her, they can come to 3800 Kelly Highway. Our adoption hours are from 10 to 12 and 1:30 to 4 every day but Wednesday and Sunday.
And of course, you still always have lots of other dogs, cats, and just about everything coming in through the door looking for homes?
Yes, we sure do. In fact, this one has one other litter mate.
Oh boy, there's another one where this one came from. Be sure to check in with us again next week with another Pet of the Week here with Explorer Earl, Pet Detective, on the Fox 4615 Kids Club.
Stay tuned next week for more from Explorer Earl and all of his friends at the Humane Society.
Okay, so my apologies that you had to sit through that. Unfortunately, there's more. There's a lot more. First off, apologies for the really terrible video quality on that, because that was recovered from a 320 by 240 flash video file. And I tried upscaling it, and 240 lines, there is not enough information to upscale. It looked like the early days of machine learning where it, decided that my face was, an endless ocean of dog faces. I don't know if you remember those early deep learning experiments where you could go plug in your photo and suddenly your face contains 1,000 dog faces. Not as cute as that dog face, though. Somehow, for some reason, instead of saying, oh, hell no, to this assignment, I tried to convince myself that I could do this.
Earl with the Fox 4615 Kids Club, back with Laura from the Fort Smith Humane Society, and yet another special guest star here. Who have we got?
Earl, this is Hershey. Hershey is about 11-week-old, male, schnauzer, terrier mix. Kind of looks like a little Hershey bar here.
Yeah, definitely chocolate dog here.
Yeah.
And I imagine in the summer months we always have lots of dogs, cats, and just about every other kind of animal for the Humane Society.
Yes, right now is a very, very busy time. Summer
Animals
months.
in abundance.
Sure.
And how can we pick them up?
We're located at 3800 Kelly Highway. Our adoption hours are from 10 to 12 and 1:30 to 4 every day but Wednesday and Sunday. And his adoption fee would be $17.
All right. Remember to pick up Hershey or one of his fellow furry friends at the Fort Smith Humane Society sometime this summer. We'll be back with more from Explorer Earl and the Fox 4615 Kids Club.
You can find a new friend at your local Humane Society. If you're lucky, it's not that weird guy with the pith helmet. That is how I actually dressed, by the way. I did not entertain any notions of having to obtain different clothes than what I already owned for this gig, because I showed up for work looking like that, Hawaiian shirts and all. And yeah, anyone who wanted me to buy better clothes than that was in for a very rude reply, quite frankly. And that brings us to this third spot where my outfit, quite frankly, was top-notch. And I think, I'm trying to remember if this is one where I had actually ditched the pith helmet, which unfortunately exposed my extremely long hair, which I kept just as an act of pure defiance, and my vastly receding hairline at the age of, I would have been 21, I think. Let's find out.
Hi, I'm Explorer Earl with the Fox 4615 Kids Club, and Laura's back from the Humane Society with a kitty critter. Who have we here?
This is April. April is a 7-week-old, brown, tabby, and white, domestic short hair, and she seems to be real playful and friendly.
How old is she? About
7 weeks.
7 weeks. And they do get bigger. Not as big as dogs get bigger, but...
Right, and she has more litter mates there, and we have a lot of kittens right now.
Lots of kittens, and as always, lots of dogs. And how can we adopt one of these furry ones?
We're located at 3800 Kelly Highway. Our adoption hours are from 10 to 12 and 1:30 to 4 every day but Wednesday and Sunday.
Well, we'll be back next week with more from Explorer Earl and all our furry friends here at the Humane Society.
You can pick up this pet and others at the Sebastian County Humane Society, 3800 Kelly Highway.
Okay, so, little story there. No one got to adopt that cat because I adopted that cat. That was Thisbe. Now that I think about it, Thisbe was actually, because that's the name of one of the players in the play within a play in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. That was my first Shakespeare cat. I thought for years I've been saying my first Shakespeare cats were the black cat and the white cat, Othello and Iago. But no, it started with Thisbe. Thisbe was a sick kitty, and I did not know it, and they did not know it. And she did not enjoy a very long life, sadly. So that kind of broke my heart, but at least it broke my heart and not the heart of some poor kid who went to adopt that cat, because that would have broken some poor child's heart fiercely. Not that it did mine any favors, but yeah, that was Thisbe. It looked like I was wearing khakis there, so maybe I was trying to do the Explorer Earl thing a little more seriously. The gig eventually did end. I have 4 spots total, 3 of which I have found and included in this video. The whole gig came to an end because there was a live public appearance that, for some reason, no one saw fit to tell me about. And because I worked weird board shifts at the time, because this was while I was a board operator. This was not while I was in commercial production and promo production. And so I was working overnight shifts. And so I got a call at something like 2 minutes. It was like, be at the Humane Society in 5 minutes. And it's like, this was right in the middle of me getting sleep so I could come in for my board shift that night. And I did not. And all of a sudden I was no longer Explorer Earl. And that's okay, because this was not a thing I ever really volunteered for. I think I tried to talk myself into thinking, oh, this is a good thing, but let me tell you, I only go on camera on my terms, thank you very much, because I'm very much a behind-the-scenes guy. You force me out in front of a camera, that's no bueno. That's no good at all. You shouldn't be doing that to people. I said, trying to send a message back in time to my former employer. It was fun. I got a free kitten out of it. Actually, I got more than one free kitten out of it, because when I went to adopt Othello and Iago at a later date, the Humane Society, knowing what had happened, they did not charge me adoption fees for the black kitten and the white kitten that I took home, who were then my bestest buddies through a gigantic chunk of my adult life. But yeah, that is the tale of Explorer Earl. The whole thing could have been handled better. Someone could have asked me if I wanted to do it, and then when it came to an end, I probably should have set some boundaries, and because that was a crappy thing that was a crappy note to go out on. And also, I had been recognized in public, like at the grocery store, when I was lamenting the fact that I could barely afford food, while I was working this supposedly glamorous TV job that people were recognizing me from, and I was in perhaps not a great mood to be recognized and people trying to have a conversation with me. So I was perfectly okay, as I am now, no longer being Explorer Earl. So there you go. Actually, one of my least favorite adventures in local TV. One that got me out from behind the board, out from behind the production gear, and put me in front of a camera. Sometime later, we'll talk about my very, very exceedingly brief stint as an on-air weatherman, which unfortunately I have no actual video footage of. But that is a tale for another time.